All right. Good evening, everyone. If you are a big craft beer fan or a beer geek, you may recognize this man, or maybe not. This is Chris White, who is the founder and current CEO of WhiteLabs, and he actually was a PhD student at University of San Diego, California, or University of California, San Diego, and those were the years. So I'm going to kind of guide you through the passion that started this art that people probably don't know about, that's taken us through the last 20 years. So this was the original yeast pack. Chris decided, because he loved beer and he loved homebrewing, that he would start a company that made yeast for homebrewers. And it started out of a garage. And you can see that this is actually the first facility that we were in, and this was before my time. But there's a little bench there, and eventually we got to the point where we were servicing also commercial breweries, and the beer boom of the late 90s kind of started, and we decided at that point that we needed a real facility. So this is us on Trade Street, which is right next to the Pyramid in Miramar, if any of you are familiar with that area. And this is the first lab. This is actually the lab that I worked in when I started, and that was 11 years ago. And you can see it was kind of pieced together. It was built by friends, and they all came in, laid in the vinyl flooring. This is some bench work from Home Depot, doing a lot of yeast work. So also, just for fun, Chris decided he would start to come up with ideas for a board game. And he called it Brewmaster, and we still sell it out of our tasting room today, and it's kind of a fun way to look at yeast. That's me, with a lot of fire. So I came on board with WhiteLabs in 2002, and I started out really just working in the lab. So here I'm just kind of starting yeast cultures, and that was the main part of what we did. I still worked out of that original lab that you saw, and about 4 years later, we decided we really needed to start getting some equipment, something that would allow us to really do some analysis and bring more to the industry besides just making yeast. So this is a gas chromatograph. We did some analysis where we were able to look at beer flavor and look at the different yeast strains that we provided and the differences in flavor that each of those strains did. We also decided that because quality was so important to brewers, we would implement a program called Big QC Day, Big Quality Control Day, where we collected hundreds of samples from breweries across the country and we analyzed them. And it's something that we still do today, and that started in 2007. So now we're running that twice a year, and the number of breweries that participate has grown significantly, and all the things we test for, we give to those breweries, and it's sort of the only time for some of them that they're able to get any kind of analysis done that makes sense. And going back to, the start of the company with home brewing, this is me doing some home brewing on my own, and, always really sticking with that and really sticking to our roots in terms of home brewing, because that's where the company began and where the passion began. And this is an example of some experiments that we do. So with that home brewing batch, I would split those all up into different size batches, and then we could trial different things with them. And so this is something that is done even today, and it looks just like that. I know it's a lot of tubing and things, but we're able to do a lot of different things with that. So currently, this is the building that we moved into in 2011, and Chris and the rest of us really had a vision for what this new facility would be. We wanted to continue to carry on that quality. We wanted to be able to expand what we do. So this is a picture of a lot of taps, and it might be difficult to see because there are so many, but we wanted to continue to brew. We wanted to make beer, and we wanted to experiment with them. And that's what we were able to implement at a new facility. So we made beer. We do that still today. And another thing that we had all envisioned was also providing education to brewers, consumers, and for many years, Chris continued to lecture at UCSD, and we wanted to bring that home and be able to give that to other people as well. So what we did was make sure that we put in a classroom where we could provide education to brewers, home brewers, consumers, and really just talk about yeast and fermentation because it's what we do, it's what we know a lot about, and it's what we love, and it's really interesting to us. So that's something that we've always really continued. Along with that is our spirit of science and always having that passion and love for science. So this is our tasting room, and you can see that we've got pictures of microscopes and some old scientific equipment here, and the chandeliers we have in there are made of glass flasks that we use. And this is some artwork that we hang in there, and this is actually a picture of DNA. It's a DNA gel band, if any of you are familiar with that. And we wanted to really showcase how important the science aspect was. And we really recently worked with a local company in San Diego to do some DNA sequencing of 96 of our yeast strains that we sell. And as another fun part of it, we took those 96 strains and we made one beer with them, which we called the Frankenstout. So to kind of recap all of that, we've really always had a passion for what we do, and from the very first pitchable yeast that we created to what we do currently, we've never wanted to lose our identity and who we are to the community, no matter how much we grow. So we always like to remember, and we want people to remember us for, being at that intersection of science and education and craft and continually revolutionizing this art of fermentation. Thank you.